With Rodan's recent reappearance into the Monsterverse and the possibility of him getting more screen time in future seasons, I wanted to dedicate a video to, showcasing just how strong he or some of his more underrated variants are. And I wanted to bring light onto a rivalry that really does not get any amount of love since the first film he's appeared in. Rodan versus Megaguirus, or Rodan versus the Meganula in general, is a matchup I don't really see a lot on the internet. I thought, since they're literally Rodan's oldest rivalry, I figured, why not make a video on Megaguirus versus Rodan? But not just any Rodan, mind you. No. We're going to be using the Millennium Rodan, and the only Millennium Rodan there is the one from Final War, the one with basically it's 0 feats. For the sake of simplicity, let's start off with Megaguirus. Now, her scaling is a bit wonky and all over the place. Consistently, she's shown multiple times to speed blitz Megaguirus continuity Godzilla and injure him on most occasions. But when it comes to his atomic breath, she gets absolutely one-tapped and annihilated. And there's also a scene where Godzilla, just leaning down, is able to cut off her entire arm. But this Godzilla was able to boil an entire portion of the sea and slow down a black hole with just his atomic breath. So yeah, he's no joke in of himself. But however, when it comes to Megaguirus's, wonky durability and AP, I guess what you could do is you could see her in two ways. Either one, she's like a glass cannon. She can dish out a lot of damage. She's fast, she's mobile, she can get around the battlefield really quickly. But when it comes to actual, combat, she's not that good at it, which we know isn't true because even up close, she's able to pretty much dominate Godzilla. It's only his atomic breath that seems to be the case. So I guess you could say when it comes to overwhelmingly powerful and probably hot attack or attacks that give off extreme heat, which is kind of bad for her considering Rodan. But I guess for those sort of attacks, her durability just melts and she just gets absolutely annihilated. Or what you could do, you could look at it like this. Megaguirus was flying so fast, because she can fly at Mach 4 and produce hurricane winds, which is a official Toho statement. So I guess you could say she was moving so fast that the speed and velocity at which she was traveling, Godzilla, lowered his spine at the right time. You could say that all that coupled together led to her losing her arm in that combined motion. If you want to be super fucking poignant about this. All of this is irrelevant to the point, considering the fact that Millennium Rodan doesn't have any heat attacks. He doesn't have any Fire Rodan-based abilities. Now, if it were Fire Rodan or Showa Rodan, obviously Megaguirus gets body stomped and destroyed and ripped to shreds. But this isn't Fire Rodan and Showa Rodan. It's Millennium Rodan. The Rodan that got absolutely destroyed by Godzilla Final Wars, who is a weaker version of the Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. So, yeah, Megaguirus would absolutely dominate the Millennium Rodan. That's not even a really debate. It's not something we need to talk about or debate. I mean, realistically, the best you could say is Millennium Rodan is comparable to her flight speed-wise. Considering the fact that him just, flying through crevices of buildings causes them to explode, the windows to burst up. So, I mean, you could say they have equal speed. You can't say that. You can't say their AP is the same, considering the fact that Megaguirus can harm and bully a stronger Godzilla. So, yeah, Rodan still gets stomped. It's just he's not gonna get speed blitzed. So, good on him, I guess. But how would Monsterverse Rodan do? How would the recent edition of Rodan, unironically one of the coolest editions of the Rodan, variants, how would he fare against the Meganula Queen? He gets bodied too. probably even worse than the Millennium one. Now, you could say that his heat resistance, or not even heat resistance, the heat or lava heat that emanates off his body could like do damage to the Megaguirus, but I mean, again, she hasn't tanked Godzilla's atomic breath, but I feel like obviously, you know, GXM, I'm gonna just say GXM Godzilla or Megaguirus continuity Godzilla. So atomic breath is still like strong enough to boil the sea. I think it'd be hotter than Monsterverse Rodan's Magna Lava. So I don't know, man. I definitely think it would do damage, just not enough to actually incapacitate her is the problem. He's not as fast as her either. So, yeah, Monsterverse Rodan just gets absolutely dominated by Megaguirus. Worse than Millennium Rodan. At least Millennium Rodan could somewhat keep up with her speed-wise, but yeah, no. That's really all. I didn't want to dive into Fire Rodan and, you know, Showa Rodan because, again, it's another stomp on that side. This is why this matchup is so weird. It's either one side is Rodan dominating and the other it's Megaguirus dominating. So it is a pretty interesting matchup, though. And, you know, I would enjoy it if Megaguirus did return in some way, and definitely a Rodan sort of film. She didn't really need to be a Godzilla villain. I think her being a Rodan villain would have been just fine and fitting, considering the fact that they are rivals, or, you know, their species, or like one species feeds off another sort of thing. I don't know why Toho is like against good ideas, but, you know, whatever. All I can do is, you know, hope that Monsterverse recovers the rights, or no, Toho hires somebody with actual competence to make this film, or, you know, someone at Monsterverse hires the rights of Megaguirus and actually does do something with her and Rodan, because that's like Rodan's literally first ever adversary. I don't understand why Toho seems to hate her, and in turn Rodan, considering they didn't do anything for his 80th anniversary. But oh well, whatever. This was a fun matchup. Had fun doing it. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you beautiful people in the next video. Bye.